And this is the first time we're speaking to you since the Prime Minister stood in the House of Commons and accepted full responsibility for his actions on the 20th of May 2020 and offered the House and the public a heartfelt apology, which, reading between the lines, is an admission of wrongdoing. Yet you came out straight away and supported the Prime Minister. Why, if he was in the wrong?
Well, I don't accept that he's in the wrong. We are waiting for an inquiry by a very formidable civil servant, Sue Gray, to conclude we can't judge what happened. We need to know the facts, and that's what Sue Gray is doing. And Sue Gray will produce, I'm very sure, a report very shortly. You know, what I support the Prime Minister in is his apology. He said very clearly that he understood the upset and the anger that people felt at what they perceived had happened and what had been reported. But what we all want is the inquiry to conclude and to see what the findings are from the inquiry. I support the Prime Minister. He did the right thing yesterday. He apologised. That apology was heartfelt.
Yeah, it was. And a heartfelt apology comes from a place when you feel you have done something to apologise for. I asked this question to you because this is what it all boils down to. Was it OK in May of 2020 to have an outdoor gathering of more than 2 people at that time?
So, as the Prime Minister said in his statement yesterday, number 10 is a workplace.
It wasn't, was it? That's what it comes down to, Nadine Dorries. Sorry, I do want to stick to the facts here. We won't let emotion get in the way. But in terms of facts, was it OK in May 2020 to have a gathering in a garden of more than 2 people?
Well, the facts are, as the Prime Minister said yesterday, that number 10 is a workplace and the garden runs across the back of offices in number 10. That's the Prime Minister, as he said in his statement, stepped outside to thank people who had been working for 18 hours a day together in number 10, who stepped outside into the garden. I'm waiting for the inquiry by Sue Gray to report her findings, and then I don't think it's our place to make judgments until that inquiry concludes.
Nadine, in your office, as Culture Secretary, in your office, if there's anything work-related, do people bring their own bottle? I'm just trying to get an idea into the culture where it's OK to have booze at a work meeting.
Those people in number 10 had been working for 18 hours a day. My understanding is that this took place in the evening, but I don't want.
People up and down the country have been working 18-hour days. Some of them NHS workers, and they would have loved to have had the chance to relax with some colleagues after work in the sunshine with a glass of wine.
So, as I said, I'm going to wait, and I think everyone should wait and understand how upset the Prime Minister is about the perception of what happened in number 10 and understand. I took as a health minister people who'd lost their relatives and people who had been through some very difficult circumstances, and I know how he feels the upset of some of those people and what they've been through during COVID.
OK, as a health minister, would you have said that was OK to meet after work in a garden in a place of work? 30 people were there with snacks and alcohol. As a health minister, would you have said that was OK? I would absolutely endorse as many meetings as possible during that time taking place outdoors and as much work as possible taking place outdoors during that time. The public didn't know that, though.
But as I've said,
the public didn't know that, though. Why did the health department not come out and endorse that if that was the case? You weren't allowed to meet more than 1 person outside.
Look, I'm here to discuss what happened in terms of the Prime Minister's apology at the dispatch box yesterday, which was genuine, heartfelt and sincere. I, like everybody else, I'm going to wait for Sue Gray to go about the inquiry, to find out what happened. I know that we all know that she's interviewing people and getting together the evidence of what happened, and I'm waiting for that inquiry, and we should all wait for that inquiry. And when it happens, the Prime Minister will go back to the dispatch box, he will make a statement, and that will be the opportunity people will have, MPs and journalists, to question him and to question the findings of that inquiry. But we must wait for that to conclude.
We will wait for the inquiry and we will see the results of it. But you sound like you know a bit more about this inquiry than we do. A lot of weight has been given to it, but we don't actually know that much about it. And that's important because that's what's going to be seen between the difference of something being fair and robust and something being a Whitehall whitewash. What are the questions that are being asked by this inquiry? And is it going to be a presentation of the facts? Is it going to be a presentation of the facts, or will it have some judgment over what happened?
So I know as much as you do about the inquiry. I know as much of the terms of reference as you do has been reported. I do know that Sue Gray, who I worked with as a health minister on the infected blood inquiry, I do know that she's an incredibly formidable civil servant and permanent secretary. I know that she will be thorough and professional about her work. That's as much as I know, but I know that it isn't going to be a whitewash because a professional and formidable civil servant doesn't do that. It will be.
She's also in the awkward position,
politicians.
She's also in the awkward position, though, of investigating her boss. And so many people have come on to say that this inquiry is independent. The mere fact that she's investigating her boss doesn't make it independent. It makes it internal, and that's an important distinction.
I would say that the civil service, the one thing which defines the civil service is its independence from government. Civil servants, Sue Gray included, served many bosses and many governments over their tenure of their lifetime as civil servants. Sue Gray, Boris Johnson is the Prime Minister, but Sue Gray is independent, is known to be independent, as are all civil servants.
OK. Jacob Rees-Mogg, the Leader of the House, was speaking last night, and there's a lot of people, a lot of MPs that have called for the Prime Minister to resign. Probably the most prominent, the Leader of the Scottish Conservative, Douglas Ross. Jacob Rees-Mogg dismissed him as a lightweight. Do you agree with that?
Look, Jacob Rees-Mogg is an incredibly intelligent and articulate man. He's quite capable of passing his own opinions during interviews. I'm not going to comment on his opinion. All I would say is that the Prime Minister is incredibly sorry. He understands the hurt people are feeling.
Do you agree with Jacob Rees-Mogg, by calling Douglas Ross a lightweight, he is dismissing his call for the Prime Minister to resign, dismissing its gravity and its seriousness. Do you agree with Jacob Rees-Mogg?
Look, some of the MPs who have made statements over the last few days have a track record of consistently and frequently have a track record actually of not supporting the Prime Minister. And at various opportunities over recent years, since before the general election, they have made similar calls and similar statements. And I think that's all I really want to say about my colleagues. I would just say again that, you know, we really understand, the Prime Minister really understands how people feel, which is why he's asked for an inquiry and why we want the inquiry to conclude as soon as is possible, and why he will return to the state, to Westminster, to the Chamber to make a statement when that inquiry does conclude.
Not all the calls for resignation are coming from people that perhaps, you know, have called for his resignation in the past. The Prime Minister highlighted his good work in the House of Commons yesterday. He talked about the vaccination programme. He talked about more people being in work. But for a lot of MPs and a lot of members of the public, this latest party scandal, if you like, is the final strike. Because to give it some context, from a public's point of view, they're looking at you could call it bending of the truth from the Prime Minister with regard to figures on the side of a Brexit bus, wallpaper gate, Dominic Cummings, their questionable Christmas childcare bubble, misleading the Queen over suspending Parliament, the promises of new hospitals. I could go on. I have a long list here. Is the PM careless with the truth, in your opinion?
Well, could I go on? Could I tell you what I think the people should judge the Prime Minister on? The fact that we have the most open and rapidly growing economy, where we have more people vaccinated, more antivirals, more people tested, which allows our economy to be one of the most open in Europe. So should we forgive him bending the truth in other areas because him and his government and ministers like yourself do good work? It's a team effort, but the individual failings of the Prime Minister are being highlighted here. Should we ignore those in favour of the good work the government does? The buck stops with the Prime Minister. He takes the difficult positions. The Prime Minister is the person responsible for our vaccine rollout, for the fact that we have more testing in this country than any other country in the EU, the fact that we have more antivirals, the fact that we have 400,000 people, more people in work than we did before the pandemic started, the fact that our economy is open and one of the fastest growing. People should judge the Prime Minister on his record in government, on the fact that he has taken difficult decisions time after time, and we are benefiting from that. And we see people today triple boosted, triple vaccinated with the boosters, able to go about their work. He's taken some of the most difficult decisions, furlough, the self-employed grant scheme, all of those things that he's done in my own sector, the Culture Recovery Fund, £2 billion, keeping that sector alive
Is that what your
on its feet,
constituents
ready to
are
employ
concentrating
people.
on when they email you? I wonder what your inbox was like from your constituents after the Prime Minister's apology.
I can tell you exactly what my constituents are saying. They are thanking the Prime Minister for furlough, thanking the Prime Minister for the boosters, thanking the Prime Minister for the vaccine programme. They know where the buck stops. They know who takes the difficult decisions, and the extremely difficult decision the Prime Minister took over Omicron very recently.
Nobody getting angry about him breaking the rules during lockdown.
They have to thank the Prime Minister
No angry emails about him breaking rules during lockdown. At the height of lockdown, May 2020, we all know the sacrifices all of us made. You made them as well. I did. People watching at home. None of them angry about his actions on May the 20th.
I think most people can see what this government has done and how it's handled the pandemic.
I'm asking you about your constituents. Were they angry? Have they communicated anger to you? Or have they all been positive?
Well, I'm in my constituency tomorrow, and I've spoken to a number of the constituents who I'll be meeting tomorrow, and they've done nothing but express support for the Prime Minister, support for the vaccine rollout, support for the fact that their businesses have stayed standing, that their jobs are still there, and that they can go back to work. That's what people are telling me in my constituency.
Okay.
They will judge the Prime Minister on his record, and his record has been exemplary. That's how people should look at what has happened over the past 22 months.
OK.
The Prime Minister's record is exemplary on this.
OK, none of your constituents angry or getting in touch, expressing anger about the actions of the Prime Minister? OK.
I haven't spoken.
You haven't seen or spoken to any. OK, fine.
Yeah,
All right, Nadine Dorries, Culture Secretary, really good to talk to you this afternoon. Thank you.